So that takes care of some of the sensory views of how the trip can be different between a spring, summer, autumn existence and in winter. But let's look at a little bit more of the operations. We spoke a little bit of having clear switches, the switch mechanisms, points, frogs, guardrails of snow and ice using a switch broom. Out on the line is a little bit more interesting as well. Depending on how heavy the snow you have, it depends on what would the result of that is your engine will have different amounts of traction. Now, again, with referencing Lawrie and him playing with his Ruston 48 in a what would effectively be just dusting of snow, it doesn't terribly affect traction that much. You're not going to slip and slide because you still have a tremendous amount of adhesive weight over the counterbalancing effect of the water, ice, snow, what have you on the railhead. Um, if you're running down a line that you're the first thing there since a snowfall, and the snowfall is a couple of inches thick, you're going to have a very interesting time about it in various places because you may actually start compacting the snow into ice under the wheels just from the pressure of the locomotive or from the lead truck on a locomotive for a steam engine. Under these circumstances, sand may or may not be your friend. It depends on what exactly is going on, and it's sort of an experience you have to learn by being there. You can't really just be told about it in a classroom or in a book or by somebody telling you X, Y, Z. This isn't that sort of experience. This is something you learn by doing, and pretty much only learn by doing because there's such a vast difference of will I slip versus won't I slip, that it's an individualistic art form. It's not something that can be really taught, not as a outward perspective. It's not like how firing is an art form in and of itself. It's somewhat similar to that, but it's more like when you get to know your own automobile and you know all the driving characteristics of it inherently. It's more of a learning experience like that than, this is why you want to do this thing at this time. It's what is my machine doing and what is it capable of doing. So that's a whole nother thing. If you've been running trains back and forth during the day, then the rail gets mostly cleared off, and if you do start to slip, sand will be to your advantage. But adding sand to snow tends to cause peripheral issues, especially if you're having gravity sanders. And this is one of the effects of gravity versus air sanders on a steam locomotive, is that gravity sanding tubes tend to get plugged full of mess. And if we're talking sub-zero temperatures, it is not going to thaw out very easy. Um, this is one of the realities. Also, if you do sand a lot and slip, it's going to spray that sand all over. Um, One thing happened with uh, this one particular the burning locomotive. The owner, um, it's long gone to a different railroad. The owner, all the owners original, all the original group of owners passed away, and so it got sold to a different location. It's no longer anywhere near me. Um, it's now back to annoying other people in a different location, but with fond remembrances of the owners that I knew. Um, he had just recently had the jacketing repainted over the summer and was very, very proud of what it looked like. And one of the first trips out, we encountered, well, they encountered, I wasn't operating, but they encountered heavy snow on the track in this one particular occasion. Big surprise, and been blowing and drifting. And so the inexperienced locomotive engineer just dumped on sand. And the wheels spun and puked that sand all over the one side of this brand new paint job on the jacketing of the boiler, as well as in lots of the mechanism and other things like that. And it just looked atrocious. And you're operating, so there's no way to go back to the roundhouse and hose it down, because even if you did hose it down, you'd probably end up turning the thing into an icicle. Uh, there was no way to clean that up. So for one of the operating days, the almost entirety of the operating day, it just looked like somebody took it to county shop and blew garbage all over it. Such to the it was the owners understood, the principal owner understood. He's like, okay, fine, yeah, that happens, but still, why now? So things like that happens. But once you've been operating trains for a bit up and down the line, the rails will be clear. If the sun is out completely, they'll heat the railhead because the darker color of the railhead versus the snow, so they'll still rather relatively clear. What you have to watch out for is if it gets shaded or the temperature drops, or if uh, if the sun goes on, clouds over significantly, is the formation of frost. Now, frost is even more dangerous than ice. Ice you can crack off the top of a railhead. Snow you can compress or shove around or sweep off or things like that. But frost is something that's its own little headache, especially on hills. Um, Heist may be able to talk more about this in some point on his channel, as I'm sure there's a lot more relative to this in Colorado roading than there is out here in the uh, lakes area of the Midwest. But it's a problem, and if you're not ready for it, you can blow out a whole tank of sand on trying to get your way up or down a hill uh, without slipping and sliding. Also, you may hear noises in the background. My dog is snoring happily behind me, but that's the snoring sound. It's not my wife. She snores with a whistle. But um, anyway, there's operations gets a little bit more interesting and a little bit more complicated, but it also has a more satisfying feeling that you're actually doing something. It's not strictly man against nature, because that's not entirely true, but equally it's not free and easy la-di-da of operating during good weather. There's, like I said, there's always going to be issues with something not working correctly, or something sticking, or something breaking, or anything like that, because it's winter and it's going to try to make your life miserable. Uh, Locomotives, rolling stock, sometimes passengers too, uh, or the omnipresent people of volunteers. That there's one gentleman that always comes out just for this event, and that's that. Well, happy to have your help, but equally, would be equally happier having you appear more than just once a year, and things of that nature. But that's another matter. Personnel is not something for discussion in this group, or in this situation. So we'll leave that for now, and I'll be back shortly with an actual story.